In today's video, we're going to talk about why people choose to move away from Virginia Beach and the Virginia Beach area, because not everybody's moving here. Some people do leave, and we're going to talk about why, and we're starting right now. Hey, my name is Sam Sansalone, and I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area that goes from Virginia Beach and through Williamsburg, and I do videos every week about living and moving to the area. So today we're going to be talking about why people choose to leave Virginia Beach and move away from Virginia Beach. There are reasons why people have either chosen to move away or have gotten here and realized, I don't think I like this at all. And so I want to talk to you about those things now so that if you are planning to move here or are interested in moving here, you can think through these things now so that if you do move, you're not going to be regretting the move once you make it. So number one is going to be that Virginia Beach and the Virginia Beach area is too quiet for them. So why is that? So I've heard so many people talk about why they want to move here, and it's because it's very lively and there's a lot of stuff and accessibility to things, which is true. The beach is one of the biggest draws for people to move here in terms of things to do or attractions. It's a very uncommon thing to live near the beach, and I grew up near the beach, so I assume that that's just kind of how life is. No, it's very uncommon, so I get why that's a draw. In addition to that, you're close to things. You've got downtown Norfolk, you've got other cities, and even close to Richmond or Washington, D.C. or Raleigh. They're close to larger cities as well. So with that comes the idea that, okay, I want to move here because of the beach or something like that, and I'm going to have all my needs met. What people realize, though, is that this is a large suburban area, and just because there are attractions here does not mean that the entire area feels like you're in the middle of a hot spot. It's not like that. There are several cities here going from Virginia Beach to Williamsburg, and Suffolk is a good example of a city that is very, very country and rural. Virginia Beach is also in some parts rural, and it's very suburban. Lots of strip malls, lots of neighborhoods, but not a ton of widespread action going on here. Downtown Norfolk does exist, and people come here for that as well, or people do experience downtown Norfolk in terms of things to do or restaurants and whatnot, and other cities have that as well, but it's not on a larger scale. And I think that when people associate a place like Virginia Beach to other cities that have a larger metropolis, like larger, more of a destination spot, like a Chicago, a top 10 city kind of thing, like Atlanta or Houston, that's where Virginia Beach and the area falls short. And I don't think it's going to be ever a place that rivals one of those cities. It has a lot of high population size, and part of that's because it's such a large land space. And so because of that large land area, the numbers can feel skewed. And so because the area is so vast, the population is spread out enough to where it just feels like a lot of suburban areas over and over again in a lot of places. So that can make people feel like, I kind of came here for the action, for the vibe, for the beach or the hustle and bustle, like the cool access to stuff. While that all exists, it's just not to the same degree as people might often expect, and that's one of the reasons why people often decide to move. That leads me to the next one, which is people think it's too busy. So why is that? People don't like it because it's too quiet. Well, they also sometimes don't like it because it's too busy. This area is very unique in that it has such a blend of all of it. Quiet, busy, traffic, no traffic, long drives, quick accessible to stuff. But it's not a significant degree of any of it. I see Virginia Beach and the Virginia Beach area as an area that has a lot of balance. You have a lot of things, but you don't have a ton of any of it. I think the beach is probably the one thing you have a lot of because it's across the whole side of the area. Otherwise, again, you got a lot of suburbs. That's probably the one thing you got a lot of is suburbs. But also people might realize that it's too busy compared to like a rural part of the country. So if they move to Virginia Beach and you're in like a heavy traffic area, or even the suburban areas that kind of feel kind of congested and it gets a lot of stuff going on, it can feel a bit overwhelming for people that aren't used to it. Downtown Norfolk can feel busy. It can feel very congested. So that can be enough of a detriment for people to realize, oh my gosh, like this is too much for me to handle or to enjoy. And so it's not as quiet as I might have expected. So on one hand, people might want to move because it's too quiet, but on the other hand, people might want to move because it's too busy. So it's a very weird balance of both of those things. And so beware that if you do really want quiet and you get here and it's not like what you thought, you might feel like you might be wanting to move somewhere else. So the next one is that people often think that it's too expensive. And so people have often come here over the course of the last few years because of the affordability of Virginia Beach or the areas around Virginia Beach. Houses back 3-4 years ago were in the $350 median sales price range, $360 or less than that. But in the last 2-3 years, that has changed, and now the values of those properties are now up into the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, the 7s. So, but even then, if you're over $1 million, paying over $1 or $2 million, what you can get for those prices now, close to the beach or in these cities, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, is not as much as what it could be in the past. Now, that is the way it is really in any part of the country. The difference here is that there is I see it as a threshold between the areas here that are like really in demand and the areas that aren't in demand. You've got spots that are in high demand, like in Norfolk, Larchmont, and Ghent. Those areas are like older houses, but they have some real high demand spots and restaurants and things to do. However, there are a lot of spots, like for example in Hampton, Newport News, in Norfolk, that are like houses built in the 40s, in the 30s, in the 50s, that are just kind of old, kind of meh neighborhoods that you really wouldn't go out of your way to move to these spots. And those spots were the cheapest or are the cheapest in the area. People for a while were able to much more easily move to like the Larchmonts and those high demand spots because they were cheaper, like below that target range where more people could afford. However, as prices have gone up, the threshold that people had to pay to get to some of those more in demand spots made it expensive enough to me to where people are now like, okay, is it worth it for me to make that move or not? Make sure if you're planning to move to the Hampton Roads area, Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, make a distinct trip early to check out neighborhoods that are in the price range that you're looking for. So if you're looking at 700, check out neighborhoods like around like Norfolk or wherever you're going to be to make sure that neighborhood fits what you're looking for. If it's even $325 or $375 or whatever price range, make sure you check, because you might find that the style of neighborhood or type of area that you might feel like you can afford confidently may not be as worth it now to justify moving across the country or any part of the world to come here. Now, next is people say that things are often too far apart and too far away from them to really enjoy. So, for example, you might find that you look on the map and you say, well, if I can get a good house in Suffolk for $450, I can live in Suffolk and have a real nice house, like 8 years old or whatever, and then I can be close to the beach. I'm not too far away. Looking on the map, it's not that big of a deal. Then you realize that driving from Suffolk to the beach can take 35, 45, 50 minutes sometimes, or longer, depending on where you are in Suffolk, for example. And it's just a long drive, and some of these drives can just feel real exhausting, especially if you're in like the suburbs and start and stop and stoplights and all that stuff. So that can lead to the fact that people might say, well, for me to feel like I can buy the house I want and enjoy the house that I want, it's a further drive to other things to justify where I want to move and actually want to live. Make sure you come here for, I'd say, at least 4 days at this point now. I used to say 3, but now I think that as prices have gone up, I encourage people to check out more areas to see the spots that might make the most sense affordability-wise, and that can lead to more driving. But I definitely say at least 4 days to just check out neighborhoods first before you move here, and I can draw out spots and kind of a plan for you to help you kind of figure out the places that might make the most sense. But doing that early, so you can then talk through, okay, is this worth it for me? Are the things that I like worth it to drive 37 minutes to, or even 22 minutes, or whatever to? Because the drives here can be long, and also not just long, but frustrating. And the next thing we're going to talk about is very interesting, and I think it's often overlooked, is the humidity, but not just humidity, the asthma issues that can come up with people moving to Hampton Roads. So in the past years, Virginia Beach has been rated as a top city for people that deal with asthma. And so I think there are a lot of variables to that. There's a lot of pollen in this area as well. But I have noticed that over time, there are people that have moved here that have been unpleasantly surprised at how much their asthma or their allergies flare up, and it makes it very frustrating for some people to get acclimated to the area, especially in the springtime with the heavy doses of pollen. And so I think that some people's sinuses, their cavities, I think could be affected drastically, and some family members I have been affected by that, especially people moving here that haven't been here before. Just getting acclimated to the environment here can be hard. So I kind of group the humidity and the asthma and health related things together together, because I would just say that the general weather atmosphere and this how it is to live here can be frustrating in specific times of the year. So whether it be for the springtime for the pollen, the summertime for the humidity for like 2.5 months, or just in general for people that have asthma, that can be an issue. So that's another reason why I would definitely check out when you get here, see how you feel when you're here, and just don't discount that, and just talk to some neighbors, talk to some people that live here and say, hey, is asthma a common issue here for you, or sinus activity, and why, and what happens, and what flares it up. So if you have any more questions about relocating to Virginia Beach through Williamsburg, let me know. I love helping people relocate to the area. That's what I do. So if you have any questions at all, please ask me. I love helping people. I have my contact information in the description. You can reach out at any point, email, call, text, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. And I will see you on the next video.